was my sophomore year at Purdue. I'd just been reassigned to a different dorm after some roommate issues, nothing dramatic. We just weren't compatible. I was offered a single room in one of the older dorm buildings, tucked away at the far end of campus. Honestly, I didn't mind the isolation. I figured it might even be good for me, peace and quiet, space to focus. But the moment I walked into that building, I felt it. And every night, my radiator made this low, hissing sound. It wasn't just a hiss, it was steady, patterned, almost like whispering. Something was off. The floors creaked even when no one walked. The walls looked stained, yellowed with time, like they'd aged decades in just a few years. But the part that really got under my skin, the bathroom on my floor was out of service. There was a taped-up sign that read, "Renovation in progress. Use basement facilities." So that meant 2 flights down to the basement every time I needed a shower. I stood at the top of the stairs and just stared. No curtain, no privacy, just cold tile and silence. The hallway was dim, lit by flickering yellow bulbs that barely reached the corners. The tile floors looked greasy and the air felt wrong, thick. Still, I still remember the first time I went down there. The shower room was basic to stalls, one of them broken, the other usable. At first, I kept things fast, in and out. Don't think, don't linger. But a couple of weeks in, I started noticing things. Sometimes the light would already be on when I got there. Even if I hadn't seen anyone else go in, my shampoo bottle would be knocked over or turned upside down. I blamed myself at first. Maybe I was just rushing, being paranoid. Then came the 4th week. It was almost midnight. I'd come back from a late-night study group and just wanted a quick rinse before bed. Everyone else on my floor was asleep. I grabbed my towel, slipped on my flip-flops, and went downstairs. As usual, I had my earbuds and music playing to keep me company. But halfway through the walk, they died. Total silence. The moment I stepped into that basement hallway, it hit me how completely alone I was. I entered the working stall, turned on the water, and waited for it to heat up. The pipes groaned like something was crawling through them. Steam started to rise, fogging the tiny mirror. That's when I heard it creak, the door to the broken stall slowly opening. I froze, heavier, like something thick dropping from above and hitting the tile. No footsteps, no shuffle, just the creak. I hadn't heard anyone enter. Then, drip. It was behind the wall that separated the stalls, not water. And then I heard breathing. Low, calm, male. It wasn't coming from in front of me. It was too calm, like it was waiting. I whispered, "Hello, anyone there?" No reply. But the breathing continued. Then, just as suddenly, it stopped, gone, like someone holding their breath on purpose. I turned the water off and wiped the mirror with my palm. Couldn't even see my reflection. I stepped out, the other stall. Open, dry, empty. No footprints, no water, no steam, but on the mirror, for long finger streaks, dragged downward, starting highway to high for me to have made them. I backed up and kicked something. Looked down. It was a shoe. An old, cracked leather loafer, dusty, falling apart. Not the kind of thing any college student wears. I ran, left my stuff, did not dry off, did not stop, 2 steps at a time back up to my room. I locked the door and sat on the bed dripping wet, clutching my towel, trying to calm down. But I couldn't stop thinking about that shoe. It wasn't there when I walked in, and those finger streaks, there were 4. The last one was deeper, like a fingernail had dug into the glass. The next morning, I forced myself to go back. The shoe, gone. The mirror, clean. The broken stall door, shut tight. I later asked my Ra about the out-of-order sign. Told him I'd still been using the basement. He looked at me weird and said, "That sign was taken down over a week ago. You're the only person still going down there. I didn't say a word, just nodded, and I never stepped foot in that basement again. But I wish the story ended there, because things followed me upstairs. A few nights later, I was lying in bed, scrolling on my phone, trying to fall asleep. Then I heard it. Knock, knock, knock. 3 slow, heavy knocks. Not from the door, from the radiator. I got up, put my hand on the metal. It was cold. And then bang, a single, violent hit from inside the radiator. That night, I did not sleep at all. Days passed. Then one afternoon, I was brushing my teeth in the upstairs bathroom and noticed something in the mirror. For long smudges, faint, finger streaks, same pattern, same spacing, same feeling in my chest like something was standing right behind me. I started Googling. Hours later, I found it. A man named Edgar Weaver, a campus maintenance worker in the 1970s, died of a heart attack while working on plumbing repairs in the basement of my dorm. Only, it wasn't that simple. According to archived reports, Edgar disappeared. They found him 3 days later, wedged behind a wall, tools still in hand. He'd gotten stuck inside a crawl space and suffocated trying to get out, and they never tore it open again. They just sealed it up, buried him inside the dorm. The next night, I came back late from the library, and outside my door, a shoe. That same old loafer, dusty, cracked, placed neatly against the wall like someone left it for me. I picked it up. It was freezing. Inside the sole, scratched in faded ink, Weaver. A week later, I met up with my old Ra. He took me back to the basement. He showed me the broken stall. One tile at the back was loose. He popped it open with a screwdriver. Behind it, darkness, and the smell, rot, earth, something dead. He handed me a file, photos, logs, old handwritten notes. One sticky note stood out. It read, "Stall 2, active again. Same signs as 94. This had happened before. Not once, multiple times. They never shut the building down, just painted over the warnings. Covered the tiles, let it breathe a while, then waited for the next student to wander in." That night, in my new dorm, I woke up to a sound. Knock, knock, knock. But this time, it wasn't the radiator. It came from my closet. I did not move, did not breathe. When the sun finally came up, I opened it. Nothing, except for one thing, a wet footprint on the carpet. And on the inside of the mirror, for long streaks. I left Purdue that spring, transferred, moved across the country, but even now sometimes, when it's late and the room is quiet, I still hear it knock, 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 and I know it followed me. It started junior year at Ohio State. I'd signed up for this elective called Philosophy of the Mind. Honestly, I only took it because someone on Reddit said it was an easy A. Turns out, they lied. The professor, Dr. Hal Vorson, was not what I expected. Wore those brown corduroy jackets with the elbow patches like something out of an old movie, and he spoke slow, real slow, measured, like every word mattered. His eyes were intense too, the kind that made you feel like he was staring through you. Or worse, at something behind you. He was this older guy, late 60s maybe. Not once, no jokes, no warmth, just lectures that felt more like sermons. He never smiled, but that wasn't the weird part. The weird part was his office hours. It looked like an old house turned into offices. When I first went there, I had a question about our midterm essay. But the door creaked open, real slow, like a horror movie. Just a faint yellow glow coming from under one door. It was already getting dark out, and the building gave off this weird, quiet feeling, like it didn't want to be disturbed. They were held in this building I'd never noticed before in a next way behind the main philosophy hall. There were no lights on in the hallway. I knocked. Sitting at his desk like he'd been waiting. The air smelled like old paper and something metallic, copper, maybe. The walls were covered with shelves, floor to ceiling, packed with what looked like handwritten books. No titles, just old, dark covers that looked fragile. No response. I stepped in. His office was dim, lit only by one of those green desk lamps, and there he was. He looked up, fingers steepled, and said, "Tell me what you're afraid of." I stared at him, trying to laugh it off. "Sorry, what?" I said. He didn't blink. "You came with a question, but not about the midterm, the weirdest part." I had come to ask about the midterm, but in that moment, I completely forgot what the question was. It just vanished from my head. He gestured for me to sit. I did, but I couldn't relax. The whole room felt wrong, not haunted, just aware. Like everything inside it was watching me, the books, the lamp, even the clock in the corner that ticked just a little too slowly. I told myself it was just nerves. Maybe I was overthinking it. I stayed maybe 5 minutes. Couldn't take it? By the time I left, I was sweating. My hands were ice cold, but my forehead was soaked like I'd just run a mile in winter. But something changed after that night. A few days later, I started noticing something off about my reflection. I know how that sounds. But I'd catch glimpses of myself in a window, a mirror, and there'd be this tiny delay. Wearing a jacket like Dr. Halvorson's, but the face was blurry, not just shadowed out of focus. Like a bad photo, and the eyes were glowing, bright and small, just like that green lamp on his desk. Like the reflection was just a second behind. Or sometimes, it would look wrong, like it was smirking when I wasn't. One night, I was brushing my teeth, and I looked up. There was someone behind me, tall. I spun around. No one. The bathroom was empty, just me and the sound of my own breathing. I didn't sleep at all that night. I tried to skip class after that, but attendance counted. When I finally went back, Halvorson didn't say a word about my absence, just kept talking about consciousness, perception, and something he called mirror cells. At one point, he looked around the room and asked, "How can you be sure the voice in your head is your own?" The girl sitting next to me leaned in and whispered, "This class is giving me nightmares." She wasn't the only one. A few days later, I got a text from Lima guy from my group project. We barely talked, so it was weird when he messaged me out of nowhere. "You ever have weird dreams after Halvorson's class?" Like, to real? I replied, yeah. He never messaged back. Dropped the class, always 3 knocks. Always at the same time, I stopped answering. I barely slept, moved out of his dorm, apparently. But no one saw him leave. No bags, no goodbye. From an unknown number, his socials went silent too. The air was heavier too, like walking into a room with no windows. The following week, he was gone. Just vanished. Things spiraled after that. I started hearing knocking on my door at 2:30 a.m. then. One night, I got another text. Don't go to his office again. Not twice, but I had to. I needed answers. So I went back. Same building, same hall. But this time, the light under his door was gone. Total darkness. When I reached the door, I noticed something carved into it. A symbol circle with jagged lines through it. Like an eye, or a lock. I opened the door, but it wasn't the same room. The walls were gone, just blackness, like a void. Except for the desk, same green lamp, and him. I was wondering if he would. He was standing now, and this time he was smiling. "Ah," he said, "you came back." I froze. My whole body was shaking. He took a step forward and said, "Told my advisor it was too much. They didn't even ask for details. You've been dreaming." Good. That means it's working. I don't remember running. Just the sound of the door slamming behind me. The philosophy department swore up and down that no such professor had ever taught there. I dropped the class first thing the next morning. A shape. A smile that doesn't belong to me. 2 weeks later, I checked the course listings for next semester. There was no Dr. Halvorson. On the roster. Not in the staff directory. But I remember him. And sometimes late at night when I pass by windows or glance into mirrors, I see something. A jacket, still watching, still waiting. It was my senior year at Penn State when I moved into an old off-campus house with 3 other guys, Marcus, Eli, and Jake. The place was called Ralston Hall, though no one really knew why. It wasn't a hall anymore, not since the 60s. Back then, it had been a university dorm. But it got sold off, half renovated, and turned into cheap student housing. It was beat-up, cracked windows, creaky stairs, flickering lights. But the rent was low, and we were broke. So, we took it. It was the usual college guy setup: empty pizza boxes, broken blinds, someone always playing music too loud after midnight. We didn't care. We were just trying to finish out the year and have a little fun doing it. The drywall looked patched, sloppy, like someone had tried to cover something up, and behind this stack of old, dusty paint cans, I saw it. But everything changed when we found the door in the basement. We only went down there to do laundry. The basement wasn't somewhere we spent much time. It was unfinished, just concrete floors, exposed pipes, and this ancient washer-dryer combo that sounded like it might explode any minute. Jake said it was probably just a crawl space or something, but Eli noticed the lock. One night, I was switching my clothes from the washer to the dryer when I noticed something weird on the far wall: a doorknob. Just the knob half painted over, barely visible. I called the guys down. We all stood there staring at it like idiots, trying to guess what it was. It was new, not rusted, not dirty. It looked like it had been put in recently, maybe even used recently. We tried to open it. The knob wouldn't turn, locked tight. That's when things started getting strange. A couple nights after we found the door, Marcus started sleepwalking, still as a statue. The first time, I caught him standing at the top of the basement stairs around 3 a.m., just staring down, not saying anything, barefoot. "Dude," I said. He didn't move, didn't blink, just stood there like he was listening to something. I touched his shoulder and he jumped, like I'd zapped him. He looked at me, totally confused. He said he had no memory of getting out of bed. Next night, same thing. His eyes were open, but there was nothing behind them, just this blank, eerie stillness. He wasn't asleep, but he wasn't really awake either. Only this time, it was Eli. I found him standing in the basement. Stacked chairs, laundry baskets, but it got stronger every day. The kind of smell that soaks into your clothes and clings to your nose. Anything we could find. He was facing the door, listening. He said it was probably the pipes and that he'd send someone to check it out. We decided to block the door, pushed a mini fridge in front of it. But every morning, without fail, everything we used to block it was moved, not knocked over, not broken, just neatly set to the side. Like someone had come through the door, and then the smell started. At first, it was faint, damp, moldy, like wet dirt. I called the landlord. No one ever came. Then we started hearing it. The door. Late at night, just past 3 a.m., we'd hear these soft thuds, scraping. Once, I swear I heard breathing. So, we set up a webcam at the top of the stairs. Just some cheap motion sensor camera facing the basement door. For a few nights, nothing happened, static at first, then a clear shot of the basement. The laundry basket we had placed in front of the door. Then one night, the alert went off. We all rushed to my laptop and pulled up the recording. At 3:17 a.m., the screen lit up, gone, moved again. And then Marcus stepped into frame, barefoot, eyes open, mouth moving. He was whispering. We cranked the volume. At first, it was all static. But then we heard it. "Let me in, let me in, let me in," over and over, soft, rhythmic. He stood there for nearly 5 minutes, just whispering into the dark. Then he turned, walked back upstairs, and out of frame. We sprinted to his room. He was in bed, fast asleep. The next day, we confronted him. He didn't believe us. Thought we were messing with him. Got pissed, so that night, we all stayed up. Just to prove we weren't crazy. At 3 a.m., the temperature dropped. Like someone had opened a freezer right behind us. The air felt wrong, heavy and still. From the laptop, we watched the basement feed in real time. For 5 minutes, nothing. And then the door opened. Not fast, just this slow, steady swing inward. Darkness behind it, and then something came out. It wasn't a person, its head tilted to the side, like it didn't know how to hold it up. It wasn't an animal, told him something was seriously wrong. Told him we were moving out immediately. It crawled across the concrete, limbs bending the wrong way, fingers too long. It had no face, just smooth, stretched skin where the eyes and mouth should have been. We lost it, ran, locked ourselves in the upstairs bathroom. No one slept. The next morning, we called the landlord again. He didn't even sound surprised. Just said, left furniture, dishes, clothes. Didn't care. You found the door. Huh, that was all. We packed up and left within 24 hours. We just wanted out. A year later, I got curious and looked up the address. Ralston Hall wasn't listed anywhere. No rental records. No sale history. Just one article from decades ago. College student missing after reported break-in. Basement door found open. There were no photos. No updates. Just one line at the bottom. The residence was sealed. The door remains unopened, but I know that's not true, because sometimes, in my dreams, I still hear Marcus whispering, "Let me in," and worse, sometimes I wake up standing at the top of the stairs. And I don't know how I got there. If this story made your skin crawl, share it with someone who thinks they're too grown up to be afraid of the dark. And don't forget to subscribe, because the scary stories are the ones that really happened.